Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 174 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Maxon, your host, here with you. And this week is a special week, as it is every year. It is the not-so-esteemed We Can't Wrestle podcast Hall of Shame.
The hammies.
The worst of the hammies. The worst of the worst. The best of the worst. Just the fucking worst here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And we have a blast with this every year. If you want to hear the inductees from years prior and you haven't listened, just listen to those shows. The list is so long, I'm not going to repeat it here this week to intro the show. However, I will introduce my co-hosts and fellers, my fellow inductors.
Now you're speaking Mark's language.
Well, there you go. We'll introduce you first, Mr. Mark Brew. Hello, Mark.
What's up, buddy?
The host of Mark's Indie Spotlight. Aaron Maxon is here. You heard him as well.
Hello.
If you smell what he's cooking, Mr. Archie Mitchell.
What's up, everybody?
And the star of the Reliving the Extreme podcast, Mr. Chad Austin.
I thought you were going to introduce Archie again.
The star in mention of the Reliving the Extreme podcast.
I thought Aaron was the star of Reliving the Extreme, but
Aaron thinks Aaron's the star of Reliving.
I agree with him.
Star of anything.
I agree with him.
God, don't go CM Punk on us.
I don't even want to talk about that anymore. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we do every single year. Aaron calls it his shining moment of the year every year here, the Hall of Shame, where again we induct. It's all about comedy, folks. You can induct an Angle. You can induct Aaron. One year he inducted an entire promotion, TNA. You can induct whoever and whatever you want in pro wrestling. It's just got to be bad. And, it's like Chad and I have discussed before. Bad is good in pro wrestling. As bad as it can be. Bad pro wrestling is almost better than good pro wrestling because it's so fucking
such good shit, pal.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad's got to be better than good because when's the last time you seen good pro wrestling?
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, again, here we go. We're going to do and Aaron, since it is your wheelhouse, it is your favorite show of the year. We'll start with you. Each one of us will give an inductee. I think we all have 4. I would like to say I joked a couple of episodes ago when we were doing the PWI 500 episodes. I am not inducting Billy Jack Haynes' wig, although it can just be a posthumous induction. We can induct the wig, say it's in.
Didn't you say you wanted it bronzed or something?
I think Aaron said it should be bronze.
Yeah, like one of the statues, like they make it like Andre the Giant and Dusty Rhodes.
It's in the exhibition hall.
Yeah, it's just Billy Jack's wig.
So out of all the inductions, we should nominate one the winner of the bronze.
The best one gets bronze.
Wig.
But Aaron, you want to go ahead and do your first induction into this year's Hall of Shame?
Like bronze Strowman.
The Braun Strowman Award for absolute mediocrity.
I mean that would kind of be the same as the Andre the Giant trophy, right?
Yeah. All right. So the first inductee is who?
Who?
What?
The gimmick
What?
who? This
who's the
mask.
gimmick?
I'll get there. I wrote notes, synopsises.
I was trying to go a little, Abbott and Costello with you, but you decided to ruin it. So
We're gonna get there. We're inducting who? This mask mistake didn't last long in the WWF. August 6, 1996 to September 12, 1996. But the time he was there, he burned bright as a dumpster fire. Some believers out there feel he was created to be a rib on Hulk Hogan due to his red and yellow attire, but the truth is this fucking idea was put out there because Vince McMahon wanted to do Who's on First jokes and because Jim Neidhart still owed Vince McMahon money for punching a flight attendant.
Yes, it was Jim Neidhart under a mask, and he wrestled as Who, and it was ridiculous.
Yes.
His beer belly hanging over those yellow tights.
And every single person knew who the fuck that was.
Yep.
They knew who was, yes. And like Aaron said, it's Neidhart owed Vince money. Like that, what was it? The story where he said he didn't fire him because he owed him too much money or whatever.
Yeah, he told Brett was worried about what was going to happen to Jim, and Vince said, Jim, he said, don't worry about Jim. I can't fire him. He owes me too much money.
Damn, I didn't even know about that.
Was it the roids or the crack? Is the question.
Yeah, that's the real question.
No, like he owed him this money because Jim Neidhart punched a flight attendant, and Vince paid for his legal services, like paid his legal funds, and the thing was that Neidhart was going to pay him back. So Vince kept him employed because that was the only way he knew he was going to get his money out of Jim.
Gotcha.
So Jim worked for free?
Essentially.
No wonder he was in the back smoking crack with Davey.
Right?
He had nothing to lose.
Free though, or it was either free or go to jail. You know.
Yeah.
I do not freebase cocaine.
He literally had nothing to lose.
Right.
Yeah, that's that Rhino. Yeah, he's yeah.
And unless we got anything else to say about who, do we have anything else to say?
No, it was just terrible. It was terrible.
Oh, yeah, we're going to bring out the man inducting who into the Hall of Fame, his longtime close personal friend, Chris Tucker.
Chris who?
Chris Tucker.
That's
I know it doesn't make any sense, but none of this does.
That's the best.
Jim
part about
Neidhart, do you
Aaron does
understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Probably not. Well, let's let our guest on this year's show, Mr. Chad Austin, go with his first induction this year. Chad, who are you inducting into the
All right,
You Can't Wrestle Hall of Shame?
We're going from 5. We're going 5 to 1, I guess.
However you want to roll with it.
All right. Well, I don't think any of you guys are going to know who this is unless you got Florida in like '86. But they had a masked job guy who had a full bodysuit, like bodysuit man. Except it was red, and somehow on the back they managed to put the letters, the little iron-on letters. And he somehow squeezed La Manesa Roja.
Damn.
That is impressive.
They squeezed all that, and it started like at the guy's on the guy's hip, like down by his rib gauge, and it went all the way around to his other shoulder. That's how long the name was.
So it looked like one of them Samoan tattoos.
Yeah. And all it said was La Manesa Roja.
Was that his name?
That's what he wrestled under, but
Spell it.
For the life of me, I don't know who it was.
Okay.
I mean, the list of Florida jobbers wasn't that big.
Jody Hamilton.
No, it definitely wasn't Jody Hamilton.
It was Jim Neidhart.
He looked like a foot. Like he could have been one of the Thunder feet.
That was the predecessor to the Who.
Right.
Yeah, that's my number. He's my number 5 guy.
I've seen a lot of stuff, but I've never seen that. So yeah, you got me on that one. I can't say yeah, Chad, I saw that. I haven't seen it.
All right, so Lama Hana
Lama
Hama Pocket Rocket is in the Hall of Fame.
Jesus. Rama Lama Lama Shama Lama Ding Dong.
And a Mecca like a Heiny Ho to you too, Chad.
All right. Mark Brew, who's your first inductee?
I'm gonna go with PG-13.
What?
Oh man, I knew you were going to get so much heat when you told me about that.
What, they owe you money?
That's the most horrible rhymes that I've ever had to listen to. I'd rather listen to Chad Austin rap.
Hey, Chad Austin can rap.
I like that Chad changed his voice to say that too. It sounded like somebody else. Like, hey, leave him alone.
That was his MC gimmick.
Regulators, mount up.
Hey, I used to be in a rap group. Like I used to have a studio in my when I was a kid at my grandmom's house in this basement area that I soundproofed myself, and we were a bunch of white rappers. And
Oh Lord,
I was
essentially PG-13 then.
Yeah, I was the DJ because I had all the equipment, and we were called the White Thing.
The White Thing.
And our album was called Doing It the White Way.
Oh God.
I mean, it wasn't even meant to be racist.
It just turned out like that.
It just came out that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't very big in the urban neighborhoods, like the community.
We weren't very forward thinking either.
We didn't sell a lot of albums in the hood, but we sold a lot of albums to people in hoods.
Yeah,
that's right. Right, exactly.
KKK.
We were big in suburbia.
Somehow we were big around Charlie from Starkville, Mississippi.
So, Mark, why else are you putting PG-13 in?
I mean, really, like the whole fucking thing is a joke of even them being in wrestling. So,
good God. I for the life of me, I swear you got something against them. Like, I have they're not like Ham of Shame. Like
I would rather listen to the White Thing album.
Actually, we did have a couple of pretty good songs. We used to play parties all the time, and I would take my equipment over there, and we would go over and do our thing.
There were no crosses on fire at these parties, were there?
For some reason, we did a lot of like outdoor bonfire parties.
Gotcha.
Bonfires, yeah. Were there meetings before the fires? I'm just wondering. Before the bonfires?
For some reason, we had a big white following.
I wonder why.
The hoods.
The hoods, yeah.
The boys with the hoods.
The boys in the hoods.
Yeah.
This is already terrible.
The boys in the hood are always hard. Come talking your trash and we'll blow up your church.
Good job. That was some Norm Macdonald style shit, Aaron. We'll blow up your church. All right, Archie.
First on my list is the Farouk Gladiator gimmick that only lasted like 3 weeks.
Oh no, Chad's really fixing to get pissed.
That gimmick made no sense. That outfit looked ridiculous. The fact that they put him with Sonny for 2 weeks made even less sense.
Okay, so here's what I'll say, and I'm not trying to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
The gimmick or the outfit was ridiculous. You're absolutely right. But I think that the putting him with Sonny, especially if you're going,
well, we know why they put him
to do. Yeah, it's the same principle as why they put Doom with Woman.
With Woman, exactly. But she only lasted with him for 2 weeks. After that he shook her off, but it was just him. And then
Woman with Doom.
No,
well, no, we were talking about Sonny being with Farouk when he first came into the WWE.
Farouk.
Aren't they coming out with an elite of that?
Yes.
But yeah, it was
into Hall of Shame.
It was at the beginning of it. It was a total like misuse of Ron Simmons. Luckily, they course corrected quickly
with the blue helmet gimmick.
Yeah,
that was embarrassment.
Who thought putting Ron Simmons with a jockstrap on his head and a blue onesie was going to do something for his career? Former world champion. You know, I get we were still in that that hokey, make everybody look like a cartoon character, point in wrestling, but it was Ron Simmons.
Archie's got a better chance of getting over in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Right. So yes, for that I am inducting the Gladiator Farouk gimmick, and inducting him will be his Nation of Domination crewmates PG-13.
PG-13. They get to be inducted and inductors
Right.
this year.
They could be indicted.
That too.
Archie could join the Cruiserweight Classic. He weighs 115 kilos.
That's how you know your fan base is stupid. You can just announce Archie is 115 kilos, and they're like,
Right.
"Oh, he's definitely qualified."
Then he has to come out and go, Magatier!
Maggot.
Magatier!
Chitota.
So my first inductee this year are the WCW mini movies. If anybody remembers those.
It's not lost in Cleveland.
Leading up, no, I'm talking about the Sting and
yeah.
Bulldog on the beach.
Yep.
And the White Castle of Fear.
The White Castle of Fear. The
Not
goddamn
Mackenzie's Island.
The bomb's got a boat. Yeah, the bomb's got a boat on it. Or the bomb's
The
got
bomb
a boat.
has got a boat.
Yeah, I meant what I said. The bomb's got a fucking bomb on it.
The bomb's got a
boat on it, baby.
Don't make us blow up this bomb.
Nate just put a hat on a bat. It's like, what's he talking about?
He said the bomb has
Bomb's got a boat on it. It's an awful big bomb.
He's got a 28-foot bomb liner.
Now, I will say this. I agree with you to a certain extent about the movies being bad. But the first one, spin the wheel, make the deal with Sting and Vader. Spin the meal. Spin the meal.
Whatever side it lands on, you have to eat.
Yeah, there's a burger. There's a burger.
It's like, don't give me the cauliflower. Don't give me the cauliflower.
There's a burger, but whatever side it is, you gotta eat it with the burger.
Spin the wheel. What did he say? Spin the wheel, eat the meal.
Spin the meal, eat the meal.
On a boat with a bomb on it.
With a boat with a bomb on it, right. No, but the original with Vader and Sting, spin the wheel, make the deal was much better than any of the rest.
That's going to be the next. That's going to be the new putting a hat on a hat.
I think we can get this gimmick over.
I think so.
He put a bomb on a boat.
Put a bomb on a boat.
And then he spun a meal.
Oh shit!
Spin the meal, eat the meal.
Welcome to the Hall of Shame, ladies and gentlemen.
Shit's getting good now,
And
pal.
the terrible WCW mini movies.
Spin the wheel, eat the meal. That's the worst.
Let's see. That match would be between Vader, Abdullah the Butcher, and probably what's his name?
Yoko?
Yeah, Yoko. Perfect.
If someone tells me that match wouldn't be very long,
no, they'd be done in about 5 minutes.
he wants to get to the
That's
buffet.
all you need for a good curtain jerk, anyways.
Right. Balls count anywhere in catering.
Nate, your induction got off the rails.
That's fine.
But I do agree.
I
do agree with you that was some stupid ass shit. White Castle Affair was terrible. Boat on a bomb sucked.
The midget.
Yeah,
Sting.
He was in all of them.
It's Sting.
yeah.
What midget?
Deadeye Dick.
No, it wasn't Deadeye Dick.
Oh,
No.
it was a desperado.
I thought that's what that midget's name was.
No, Deadeye Dick was the Desperado.
Oh shit. Okay.
The midget's name was Cheatham.
Cheatham. Yes, that's right. Cheatham the midget.
Who was
I remember the name of the fucking midget from the WCW mini movies.
That's
I can't remember where I put my fucking keys.
There's something wrong with that picture.
There's Aaron's like, what did I eat 20 minutes ago? Oh yeah, Cheatham was the name of that midget.
I can't wait for the next time I go do wrestling trivia at Jimmy's Seafood, because I stink so bad at it anyway that I'm just gonna start putting answers up like that. Because sometimes like the guy will read like the wrong, like some of the wrong guesses. You know, he won't give the name of the team or whatever who says it. He'll be thumbing through some of the answers, and I'm just gonna wait till I hear like some of the ones that I put down on paper.
Ask them, do they know who the first midget to jack off
Dory?
in the trash can on TV was?
Who beat Dory Funk Jr. for the NWA Championship? Cheatham the midget.
Marty.
That's a county in Alabama, actually. Though it's a county in Alabama named Cheatham County.
I would hate to run for the attorney general of that county.
Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. All right, Aaron, your next induction.
My next induction is the Rochester Roadblock.
Oof.
Oh man.
All right, you guys ready for my synopsis of Roadblock?
Go ahead.
All right. This fat sack of shit never did anything.
All right, that was you ain't gonna go any further.
You're good. You're good.
I wrote it. Let me read it. This fat sack. This
could have been one of them games where you just give us like your description and we gotta guess who it is.
Right.
My next inductee is a fat sack of shit.
Is it Roadblock?
Rochester Roadblock.
Yeah.
All right. This fat sack of shit never did anything good or for the sport of professional wrestling. While other big men were just as untalented, at least they had something special about them, like Big Daddy Giant Haystacks, Uncle Elmer Haystacks Calhoun, but not this old fat piece of shit Roadblock. He was just fat, ugly, non-talented, and should have been arrested for stealing money.
And didn't he come to the ring with the big the real roadblock?
Roadblock, yep.
Yeah.
Like the whole, like not even like the sign, like the thing that they
the actual see they have it up over his shoulders.
Over his shoulders,
it's like an easel, like a painting easel or whatever.
Idiot. What a fucking idiot.
He was essentially living the gimmick though, because he was just in the way.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like walking down to the ring like a fat Christ, like carrying his cross to burden or whatever. Yeah, he was terrible.
Looking for that spin the meal, eat the meal match.
Yeah. Oh, he's wanting in that.
He wanted deal of meals from Richard Simmons, but he settled for spin the meal with eat the meal.
He'll drop out 92 times in a row just to get in that match.
That wouldn't be a win for him if he won the Richard Simmons meal deal.
Right.
It goes against all that he believes.
Runner up gets Jenny Craig.
Yeah, whoever wins, he's gonna try to cash in the hoagie in the bank.
Loser loses weight match.
So anything else on Roadblock?
There is nothing else more to say about
No, you said it all.
All right, well, inducting Roadblock into the Hall of Shame is 12 Popeyes chicken sandwiches.
If you ever need to realize, or if you ever want to know, folks, how legit strong Lex Luger was, just go watch Lex Luger on Nitro.
Not being able to lift him.
He got him up though. He got him up eventually. He worked hard at it.
Charm.
Is he the one where he kind of crumbled at first?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He tries to get him up, and the guy's just, a big,
dead
like Aaron
weight.
said, a big
Dead
sack
weight.
of shit. He's dead weight. The deadest weight you can imagine.
It's like when you play chicken in a pool, and you got swim underneath somebody's legs and put them on your shoulder, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they didn't want to go up, dude, they weren't going up. And if you're 340, 50, 60 pounds, and if you don't want to go up, man, you ain't going nowhere.
All I remember is Luger finally lifted him and then just dropped him immediately afterwards. I don't even think he submitted. He was just like, fuck it.
Luger's like, it's too much. It's too goddamn much. All right, Chad, what do you got next?
All right, so this would be my number 4 person. I'm going to go with Tux Newman. Any of you guys know who that is?
Fuck.
Wasn't he a USWA manager?
No, he's even worse. California Championship.
Even worse.
Yeah, he was like he was just one of them like slobby like fat guys that wore like one of them like ruffled tuxes, and every time you see him, he's just sweating profusely for no reason whatsoever.
I for some reason I thought he was Memphis, but I've seen him and I know he's tired about.
He definitely could have worked in Memphis. He was that bad.
He was just a guy that was somebody's friend, and they got him on the fucking show.
I remember I only got California Championship Wrestling for about maybe 6 weeks. And he was on like 4 of the shows, and I'm like, oh, we got to get this. This has got to be on every week. I got to watch this guy.
So his name was Tux Newman, and he wore a tux to the ring.
Yep. And he looked like Newman.
Well, I mean, you said he was sweating profusely. When you put a fat guy in a little coat, that happens.
Right.
Mark, who's your next induction?
Oh, we're gonna go with Disco Inferno.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yes, because like to me, I can't never look back and think, damn, he was good in that match. Like everybody that he even worked with pretty much had a crappy match because they had to come down to his fucking level. And it was just I think he's deserving of being in the Hall of Shame.
Well,
yeah. The only thing he really had going for him was that he was one of Raven's boys.
And inducting him into the Hall of Shame is John Travolta to show him how the fuck it's done.
When Mark told me he was inducting Disco, I said even Alex Wright, who was good but not great in the ring, had to dumb it down in the ring, and that is bad. You know what I mean? I don't remember him having a stellar match with anybody. I remember him almost killing guys like Perry Saturn and Chris Benoit when they would try to lift him in the ring and he, falling around. So I agree with the Disco Inferno going in.
I think that I don't know. I don't. I can see what you're saying. I don't have an opinion on him really either way. So I guess that means he wasn't memorable. So yeah, I mean, I guess he qualifies. Aaron, Chad, anything to say on Disco?
Crickets.
I mean, the guy was there.
He's dropping a deuce.
Well, I am.
He's dropping a Disco.
Disco was a guy that was liked by people that were in corporate. That's how he got by.
No, I mean, Glenn was. I liked Glenn. Like, every time I was ever around, it was normally because he was around. Scotty, Raven, come on, Disco. I think it was like because I think Raven liked to surround himself with hams. That's why he always hung around with like me and Stevie and Disco.
Right. Aaron's taking a Gilberti.
Did he ever work North Georgia?
Yeah,
sounds like
they've had him on like some independent shows up there and stuff, and it's like that's not a selling point. You're not gonna draw me by having Disco fucking Inferno on the card. I'm sorry, I'm not popping.
Glenn Burney. That's where Michael's 8th Avenue is. That was my Wikipedia from last week.
His only friend is Vince Russo.
I'd rather watch Earthquake Ferris.
Oh, well, who wouldn't? I didn't think. What wasn't Earthquake Ferris? Wasn't that a PN News?
No, he was Cannonball. PN News was Cannonball Grizzly.
Cannonball Grizzly.
Yes. Yeah, seriously, that was his name in Japan.
He just took 2 hammy gimmicks and put them together. Just Cannonball and Grizzly, like two generic independent guys.
It's a jobber love child.
Yeah, why don't they call him Dr. Cannonball Grizzly X? Foot.
Or Cannonball can't run.
Would he still do the yo baby, yo baby, yo?
No, it's yogurt baby, yogurt baby, yogurt baby. No.
Yogurt,
Archie?
baby.
Oh my, Archie. Who's your next inductee?
My next inductee has injured a Hall of Famer more than once, and I am going to be inducting Goldberg, Bill Goldberg, into the Hall of Shame for almost killing The Undertaker in Saudi Arabia and for ending Bret Hart's career.
Damn, that's like
Nate's on board with that one.
you got a whole different criteria for your Hall of Shame than I do.
Well, here's another reason I don't like Goldberg anymore. Yes, when he was in WCW, he was absolutely fine. His streak was well deserved, and I think they had a great storyline. But when he persistently comes back at the age of like 54 now in the WWE and beats guys like The Fiend, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, and refuses to put over the younger stars, fuck him.
Yeah, now he's just Oldberg. He
Right,
can drop the G.
That's kind of
And
why
he
you
can-
don't see him anymore, right? Huh?
Because Triple H is in charge now.
I know. I
He
mean,
ain't gonna call that son of a bitch.
And I would say, to be honest, other than, and you guys can tell me if you think I'm wrong, other than Saudi Arabia, where they literally requested Yokozuna in 2016, so they clearly have no fucking clue what's going on. But other than Saudi Arabia, and I will say that first match he had with Brock, literally, since he's come back to WWE, he hasn't drawn a dime. He's been on cards that have drawn a dime, but having Goldberg's name on the card hasn't drawn a dime. And you can disagree with me if you think I'm wrong.
And the Saudi thing, nobody draws anything in Saudi. That's just a paid show that, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like doing a show for the Shriners.
You're drawing the money from the royal family, I guess. But
yeah,
I mean, you really don't think that somebody like Goldberg was like over in Saudi? Like, I mean, you know,
with a last name like Goldberg, how could he be over in Saudi Arabia?
Well, here's to answer Chad's question in a real way. I don't think that he might have gotten a pop, but once the match only went 5 minutes and he concussed himself immediately and then almost literally broke The Undertaker's neck, I think everybody went silent and was like, what the fuck are we watching? You know what I mean?
I gotta go back and watch that because I don't know as a whole how smart them people are over there. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I wonder.
I agree with you on that.
He doesn't.
I wonder what
like he means intelligent. He means to the business.
Yeah, I know.
Not he's intelligent.
I know, but it's just the way he said.
No, but see, I can imagine what Chad is thinking. If the king that's sitting up in the stands puts up an applause sign, they're going to cheer. So we don't know if the pop was legitimate or not.
Right.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean,
They might have popped at seeing two chickens fight in the middle of the ring. We don't know.
Or they show a video package from WCW before
Yeah.
he even comes out, so they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's that dude."
Right. So I agree with Chad. We don't know how smart these Saudi fans are.
yeah. I mean, I know Meltzer's kind of cheap, and do you think he would spend the postage, or is the observer rate different?
Nate
them
just about spit
negative
his
stars.
drink through his nose.
That's a long way from Campbell, California, to Saudi Arabia. And how old would the news be by the time it got there?
Well,
Instead of the Pony Express, it was the Camel Express.
There's the mailman wearing the big he's wearing the big desert outfit, and there's the mail sacks on each side of the camel.
Well,
I have news from '98. Here you go.
Mazel Tov, Goldberg. You are in the We Can't Wrestle podcast Hall of Shame.
And inducting Goldberg will be the Hitman Bret Hart, because I'd love to hear the speech.
This fuck.
This motherfucker right here. Let me tell you about him.
Kick me in the head.
After he
Bill,
spent about 4 minutes of him just shaking his head.
Bill Goldberg kicked me in the head.
Bill Goldberg.
So my next induction into the We Can't Wrestle podcast Hall of Shame, Angelo Mosca Jr.
Oof. That's a good one.
Angelo Mosca Jr.
Fair enough.
Lord have mercy. Funny shaped, unibrow, terrible wrestler. But they thought they could do something with him in Mid-Atlantic.
He beat Ivan Koloff.
Yes, he did, and became the Mid-Atlantic champion. And what the fuck? That guy, that kid, man, oof.
The worst belt ever.
Yeah, worst belt. Yes, that ain't no shit either. Yeah, I should induct the belt too. But
it wasn't even
the honorable mention.
It wasn't even a gold belt. It was white.
Oh God.
It was ugly as fuck.
Yeah, like people are usually like, "Oh, that guy didn't live up to his father's potential." Like, yeah, he did.
Yep. Yep, that's exactly what I expected out of him. Way to go, son.
You inherited your dad's talent.
Pops is proud. You did what I couldn't do after all these years. What? You just beat Ivan Koloff. But it's a work, Dad.
Bob Cottle, I'm so proud of my boy.
Imagine if Angelo Mosca Jr. would have been the one that hit Pat Patterson over the head with the what they call it, the pitcher that started the feud. And then Patterson, instead of selling it, would have said, "What the hell are you doing?" instead of taking the bump, just turns around and said, "What the fuck?"
No, we're gonna do this my way.
But yeah, Angelo Mosca Jr. was not a good wrestler. I mean, and I don't know. He could have been a really cool guy. That's fine. He might have been a nice fella. But
did he ever do promos?
Yes, and he always looked like a deer in the headlights, and he always sounded like a dope. And I would say, of all the wrestling that I've watched anyway, and Chad, you've watched a lot more territory stuff than I have, but wouldn't you say that he was probably the least commanding wrestler to ever wear a major championship? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, he absolutely looked like he did not even belong having a belt around his waist, even to hold his pants up.
Like, he looked like he shouldn't be allowed to even just carry the belt, like, and like from town to town.
Right? Yeah.
Because I remember there was a lot of times when, have you ever heard the stories about how guys sometimes never wanted to be champion because they didn't want to have to be responsible for the belts?
For the belt, yeah.
Well, we had at one point belts that cost I think they were $1,700 a piece for our tag team belts, and they came in these little like satin bags, right? And the promoter, like, he told us that we had to like take them everywhere we went, and I kept telling him, I was like, Dennis, I don't want to be responsible for this thing, And then one time, I remember we were doing an outside show at a Hard Rock Cafe or whatever, and we came to the ring, and I ended up throwing the belt. Like, how they kind of throw it like in the ring and it kind of slides.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, me and Dino were going to the ring, and I threw my belt, and it slid all the way across the ring and fell out on the floor. And Dennis came to ringside during the match while we were in it, like right after it happened, and he's looking at us and he's mouthing at us like, "What the fuck?" Go ahead, guys. My cat just got out for some reason.
Chad's cat is now in the Hall of Shame.
The puss is loose.
That's what Bret Hart said about Sonny. Aaron, who's your next induction in the Hall of Shame this year?
The Goon.
The Goon? As
Wasn't
in
he
Bill Irwin?
already in there?
No. Is he?
No.
No, I just
I
looked at
didn't
the
think-
list today.
I didn't think so.
No, I just looked at the list today.
All right.
But as in
so
Bill Irwin, the Goon?
just the Goon, but we're gonna get there.
Okay.
This is my synopsis of the Goon. One of the lines we use when we're inducting a gimmick is that it's not an indictment of the man performing the gimmick, but tonight that is an exception to the rule. This stupid ass gimmick was doomed from the start and was made even worse by the clown shoe wearing the jersey. The least said about the Goon, the better.
Aaron and I, this is one of me and Aaron's arguments because I am a Bill Irwin fan and he is not. But the Goon was stupid.
Yeah, Bill Irwin, man. What can you say? Him and Georgia.
Well, and him and his brother, I like him. I loved him and his brother as a tag team.
Not a Bill Irwin fan. And definitely
Really?
not a fan of the Goon.
I would have thought that with all your years of watching GWF, you would have been at least a little bit of a fan of Bill Irwin.
Nope.
No? All right.
Nothing about him.
Well, he was in that lovely group, Devastation Stink. You know, I mean, it was like him, what? Ray Candy. What is that? Bad Leroy Brown, one man gang. All them. It was like all the hams. They couldn't figure out what to do with all these guys, so they put them all with the Skandar. It must have been a rib on Skandar.
We don't got nothing for you. You're going with Akbar.
Yeah, let's see what Akbar could do with you.
Man, not a fan of the Goon. Thought it was a dumb gimmick. Out of all those gimmicks, it was the worst one. And
The goof.
the goof. So,
The absolute worst part of the gimmick was the boots.
The boots, yes. The heeled all the way through the middle boots.
Yes, made to look like ice skates. That was fucking stupid. I mean, you can see the idea of a former hockey player who's like a bully or whatever being a wrestler. That couldn't be totally unheard of. But just the get up and the boots and all that, it was ridiculous.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. And he never hit anybody with a hockey stick. If he would have hit somebody one time, it would have been awesome.
With the hockey stick?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been awful, and it would have been awful for the guy that he hit.
Well, I mean, they could have gimmicked it. I'm not saying for him to murder somebody, but I'm saying he never used it.
Yeah, if they made it out of straws. I mean,
It could have been like that 2x4, that foam 2x4 that Duggan used in WCW.
Yeah. When he swings it, it still has that bend in it from it being made out of styrofoam.
And inducting the Goon is Cam Neely.
Who?
Cam Neely.
Who was that?
He's the only hockey player other than Wayne Gretzky that I knew, so I wrote
Oh,
it down.
Jesus. The only two hockey players that I know is Wayne Gretzky and Chris Jericho's father. I don't even know his name.
Irvine.
Ted Irvine. Oh, I should have called Ted Irvine.
I only knew his last name, Chad, so don't feel bad. I was like, Irvine.
Yeah, it's about it. See, hockey's not big. Hockey is not big in Baltimore. Hence, and every 5 years or so, like they would try to start a rumbling because we have a perfect facility for it. The Baltimore Arena was built like it literally has the ice underneath of the floor. Like it was built for like hockey, but after like 1 or 2 seasons, they realized that nobody's coming to see this.
Nobody likes hockey, right?
Hockey is not a Baltimore thing. Like Baltimore is known for two pro sports, football and baseball, and then in college we're big with as far as I know, we're big with basketball because of the whole Len Bias stuff.
Right.
And other than that, I don't know anything about our basketball and our University of Maryland basketball, because every time I hear University of Maryland, I keep hearing about Len Bias. So he was good at two things: basketball and crack.
Well, Chad, you're next. Who's your next inductee?
All right, who did I say already? That's just I said
Tux and who was his
Chuck
first one?
Newman and
La Vanessa Roja.
Yeah.
All right, my next one, I'm going to go with Mass Transit.
Ah,
Good.
The guy or the incident? Or all of it?
I got the guy. I got so many crossed out numbers next to his name where I had him lower on the list, and I'm like, no, he's got to be higher on the list. And then I found somebody worse, and then I moved him down again. So I was like, well, we'll just make him somewhere around.
you're like I was gonna put him in the Volkov spot, but then I put him in the Paul Orndorff spot.
Yeah, I mean, but at least I mean, yeah. What can you say about that fucking piece of garbage? I mean,
he made the mid card of your Hall of Shame inductees.
yeah. But, is he still around or no? His parents made him quit wrestling, right?
He died.
He's dead.
Yeah,
He's dead or his career's dead?
both. They're all dead.
So he's still doing the job for New Jack in the Sky.
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah. New Jack walked in and was like, and Mass Transit was like, fuck.
This motherfucker.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole deal was what a shit show. What a shit show.
I don't understand. His father let him go in there pretending to be over 18, but then when New Jack was beating the fuck out of him, he yelled at them, "Hey, he's only 15 years old." Well, then why did you let him get in the ring in the first place in ECW? You know what I mean?
Oh, because his father thought it was all hee ha ha. Like, it's all wrestling nonsense, and
so they weren't really bleeding every night. I mean, come on now, like even if it wasn't ECW, but the fact that it was Extreme Championship Wrestling made it worse. You know.
And then they put him in the ring with somebody that honestly didn't give a shit about anybody's body, anybody's life, anybody. Period.
Right.
You know,
he didn't even care about his own body.
No, and I always say this about New Jack. I think watching New Jack do a shoot interview or whatever makes me laugh. He was funny. I do think that. But he was also careless and an asshole.
New Jack, man, I always love hearing him talk about me, because the story somehow always seems to change somewhat. And and then I ran into people over a course of the years. I run into Dreamer every once in a while, and then I used to ask him about it. Like he Dreamer actually forgot about the whole thing. I'm just like, did this guy really believe what he said, or is it all just that much of a work? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, New Jack's a fucking idiot. I mean, one of the best wedding presents that I got was at our wedding rehearsal dinner. Was we got a phone call. Like Roy was there, and Roy got the phone call. We were at dinner eating at an outside terrace, and he goes, "Oh," and we're like, "What?" He's like, "Oh my god," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "New Jack died," and we all like threw babies in the air.
Oh God!
Damn.
Oh God!
I think Jimmy Seafood comped all our meals.
God, that was like the worst story you ever told, but funny at the same time.
Well, I mean, New Jack told me on a cameo video that he liked to chop my nuts off and put them in a sandwich bag. So,
Mark's cool with that.
It sounds like he's done that before,
right?
I was just wondering why he was after my testicles.
Yeah. But did he hear anything about your testicles, Mark?
They must have been talking.
He's a big testicle guy.
Evidently.
Your testicles were talking?
That's where Devon got testified because the New Jack yells testicles.
Oh,
Devon
my
goes,
brother, testicles.
Testicles.
Did you just say testify? He's like, that's right, testicles. And what's the best part about eating calamari? The testicles.
Oh my god.
All right. Mark.
Okay, so my next induction is based strictly off this gimmick.
Now hold on. You put in PG-13 a bunch of rappers. You put in Disco Inferno, who was obviously a disco guy. Are you about to induct Man Mountain Rock next? Because you're after all the musical gimmicks. All right.
No, okay.
Or about Van Hambone?
This is my description of this gimmick. Looks like a fucking Chippendale dancer in a Zorro mask.
The Masked Stranger?
The handsome stranger.
The handsome stranger? Yeah.
Yes.
Mark
Buck
Bagwell
Bagwell.
and the GWF.
Like it's not even for his in-ring talent. It's just what the fuck was this gimmick?
you probably could have put the whole GWF in with him.
You could just say Mark Bagwell.
Yeah, Mark.
But this is like at times Buff was over with me, but like just that whole gimmick there, I was like, what in the actual fuck is going on here? And inducting the handsome stranger is the Godfather, because if you're gonna dress like a hoe, you're gonna be pimped.
Oh my god.
He said he was dressed like a hoagie.
Like, you can't tell me you don't get that's a fucking male stripper in a Zorro mask.
Pretty much,
vibe
yeah.
from that fucking gimmick. It's like, what in the fuck?
Marcus Bigelow, male gigolo. Yeah.
What if he like put everybody to sleep and like it was somebody's bright idea? He puts everybody to sleep and then leaves like a rose, like in their mouth.
Or in their ass crack like Angel Garza was doing.
Oh my god.
It would have took like several weeks before somebody would have thought that was just a complete gay gimmick.
Right.
I thought the gimmick was gay.
He roofied the guy. All right.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
All right, welcome to the Hall of Shame, handsome stranger. Aaron, you didn't comment on that. Any comments on handsome stranger?
Well, I think I've made my opinions known throughout the years of Mark Bagwell, but the handsome stranger, it was the gimmick that was given to him when he first got in, and it was going to suck because he sucked through his entire career. But it's like, it's the worst thing he ever did, but it was because he was young, so I'll give him that. But Mark Bagwell as a whole was just lame.
Sprayberry High School.
And he's just a crummy human being.
I remember watching that and like I don't know whatever year it was, and I remember I was still living at home because I was still relatively young, or at least I had probably moved out once and then had to move back. And if Jim Ross would have just kept saying, he's from Sprayberry High School, and I'm thinking, who cares?
Right.
Like nobody introduces me from Northeast High School.
There's a whole nother reason why I dislike Buff Bagwell as a person. It was from a personal experience at a show that he was on. He kept grabbing his junk in front of my teenage daughters, and that don't fly with me.
Oh god!
But he carried a whole bunch of, what was he, a junk collector or something? He kept.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
He thought he was doing an antique thing, but he was just collecting junk.
It turns out Bagwell's one of those guys that like he has an SUV, but it's full of like trash and shit. And it's just
it's full of junk that he keeps grabbing.
That's the actual footage from them commercials with the vent clips for Febreze.
Yeah. Hawaii Aloha scent. All right, Archie, you're up.
All right. My number 3, because she was never able to fully take a stunner, and because of her introducing us to the PG era that we kind of still are in, because of her wonderful run for Senate that she lost twice, I am inducting Linda McMahon into the Hall of Shame.
Linda McMahon.
Yes. She was by far the worst McMahon on television. Her using the WrestleMania theme song never made sense to me. And she never really did anything for the company. If anything, she hindered it.
She should have come out to the Mae Young Moolah music.
That's a disgrace to Mae and Moolah.
No, I'm thinking she should have came out to like a really. What's that?
She should have came out to like, "Thank you for being a friend."
That would have worked, yeah. Or like a real miserable piano riff, because things went to shit when she showed up.
I see her coming out to Ted Nugent Cat Scratch Fever.
Oh god.
No, she definitely never should have been put on television. Ever.
No. Vince was like, "Look, everybody else is on TV. You're gonna have to appear too." And she was like, "Okay."
We got to put out a united front here, Linda.
They should have just
get on board.
They should have just picked a woman to play Vince's wife. I
agree. I agree. And inducting Linda into the Hall of Fame will be none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin, so he could stun her ass on the stage.
Like for real though.
No sell me,
right.
bitch.
Right. No sell me, right. Teach you.
But yes, I agree. I actually agree even more now. And this is not a political show. I'm not going to say it, but she was part of Trump's shit. So anyway, yes, Linda was definitely the worst McMahon on television and a terrible actress. The best role she ever had was when she was comatose in a wheelchair because she didn't have to do anything.
Right. And we got to see Trish Stratus because of that. The only good thing she ever did.
So my next induction, unless anybody has anything else on Linda.
Aaron?
If you give us enough time and we can Google her, we can probably find some decent dirt on her.
I wouldn't want to Google her.
Yeah. Imagine if the feds came in your house and stole your hard drive, and they thought that you were fucking around with like kiddie porn or something, and they went on the news and they were like, well, he was suspecting a kiddie porn guy, and all of a sudden they found was all these pictures of Linda McMahon.
A bunch of pictures of Linda McMahon in pantsuits. Really weird.
It'd be like that episode of Seinfeld when they were on trial, and I forgot whatever was said or whatever, but when the crowd was just like, ooh, and they showed everybody's face like, oh, that's a shame. Oh man. Linda McHam.
I like it.
Well, my next induction is an announcer.
Oh, that's funny because my next inductee kind of is too.
Well, I can't be in the Hall of Shame.
Oh no, not a ring announcer. I'm sorry, a commentator, Mark.
Got you.
But my induction is for the one and only. Let me see if I can do it justice. Rod Trongard.
Oh God,
I fucking hate Rod Trongard. I don't know who's worse. Chad, you tell me. Is it Trongard or Ed Whalen?
I mean, I at least I got some mileage out of Ed Whalen because at least he almost seemed like he wasn't like in on it at all.
Yeah, he's completely fucking clueless. Yeah,
he wouldn't sell for the heels.
Ring a ding dong dandy. Yeah,
he wouldn't sell for the heels at all. It was the best. You couldn't. He was like, who's that other guy that you couldn't get heat on as a commentator because they just wouldn't sell. He just wouldn't sell for the guys.
Big Jim Hess.
Who?
Big Jim Hess.
I guess, but I don't even know who that is. But yeah.
He was the commentator that was in fucking Fuller's territory before he took it over.
Jesus, that's some stuff I should know right there. That's some useless knowledge that I usually.
Who was that? Aaron said the word the adjective big. Who was that guy that did the He commentated for Crockett. And then by 84, 85, 83, he's doing the thing where he's like, get the Mid-Atlantic bumper sticker. That guy, too, he never sold for... Does anybody know what the fuck I'm talking about?
No.
We're making a left turn.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I bet you after we're done here, you guys, in about an hour after the show,
It's gonna hit you.
You guys are getting ready to go to bed. You'll get a text, and I'll figure it out.
But yeah, but Trongard was fucking terrible. Absolutely terrible.
I don't know what Trongard's actual job was. Like, I don't know what he was actually commenting.
I think he just had dirt on Vern Gagne.
No, I think like it wasn't even that, because he ended up working for Vince.
Well, that's just because Vince wanted to steal everybody from Vern Gagne.
No, I think Trongard was one of those guys that, because like, what was he? He was like, he commentated on like the California shows.
No, like
I'm
wasn't it?
talking with the WWF. He was like the Los Angeles guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, like Vegas.
Yeah, like
He would, yeah, and he would do AWA territory for Vince too.
and he was one of those guys that was just, he was contracted by that station or whatever, and they put him on there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he had any kind of wrestling knowledge. He was just on the fucking thing because he was the commentator for that arena or whatever. And
Well, that also goes back to the deals, the days when like, remember when Vince bought everybody, and a lot of times before he bought like a territory or whatever, a certain area, like he would buy the territory with the promise of having to use, a certain talent.
Right.
yeah,
like
we're gonna use your broadcast guy on our fucking show.
But they're only
Jack-
going to use them,
Jack- Yeah,
They're
Jack Tunney gets to be our figurehead president.
Yeah, it's like one of them gimmicks where, okay, you can buy this territory, but you got to use Rod Trongard, and they use them for, they used them until somebody forgot about the deal.
Yeah,
Right.
They were like, "Who is this fucking bone?"
Till Alzheimer's kicked in.
Worst announced team ever. Rod Trongard and the Duke of Dorchester. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. I'm gonna mute this shit.
Yeah, I know. I mean, at least Pete Doherty was a little entertaining.
He was a character, yeah.
Nate's like, I'd rather watch a silent wrestling show.
I thought even a worse combination was him and Lord Alfred Hayes, whatever. Anybody teaming with Lord Alfred Hayes was a rib.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Oh man. Okay, so worst commentating team ever is Bruce Pritchard,
Mike
the
McGurk,
Duke.
and the Duke of Dorchester.
Yes, Bruce Pritchard, Mike McGurk, and the Duke of Dorchester doing commentary. Jesus fucking Christ. But anyway, this was about Rod Trongard. Anybody have anything else to say about him and his afro?
That was Will Ferrell in semi-pro.
It was a doozy of a throw. I'll tell you that, though.
It's a good fro. It's a good fro when the headset like pushes the middle of it down.
Look at that dude's fro he's got going on. And he wore like Gorilla Monsoon glasses, but he didn't pull it off good enough.
Yeah.
Rod Trongard.
Ron Trongard, he sucked.
Like, didn't he do he did a lot of commentary on you would only catch him on prime time, right?
Yep.
Because he would do the Boston Garden shows and and what the almost Canada shows and stuff.
Yeah,
the almost Canada shows.
The almost Canada shows. I'm Rod Trongard in Buffalo, New York.
Niagara Championship Wrestling. I'm going over the falls in a Rod Trongard.
You're going over the falls in a bomb that has a boat on it. Yes.
It's not when somebody says you're trying too hard. You're trying.
You're trying, Trongard.
You're trying hard.
You're trying, Trongard. I knew what Chad was going at.
It's something you say in a street basketball pickup game. Come on, try and guard me.
Did you say try and guard me? No.
Yeah,
I
try
said
and guard me.
me.
He looks like if J.J. Dillon was a crackhead.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Like J.J. Dillon's outside the Circle K asking for $1.
J.J. Dijon. That's what we need. We need to book our own federation, Hambone Championship Wrestling. J.J. Dijon is a top guy. Colonel, instead of Colonel Mustafa, it's Colonel Mustard.
If you look him up on Google,
Jesus, what?
it says on one of the Twitter things, I'm Rod Trongard and I just shoplifted sausage and cheese.
Oh my god!
That's probably a shoot.
There's a fake Ron Trongard Twitter, and he's shoplifting sausage and cheese.
I swear I'm screenshotting it so I can send it in the group chat when we finish with this.
I'm Rod Trongard, and I shoplifted sausage and cheese.
He sucked at commentary so bad they wouldn't even pay him.
They wouldn't even-
Farmer members.
They're like, get your sausage and cheese the real Chicago way, Trongard.
He's like, Pepperidge Farm remembers when I stole their sausage and cheese.
At least he didn't get.
Oh my god!
arrested. At least he wasn't trying to steal Scrapple.
I'll never be allowed in that food line.
He'd bring that
again.
scrapple back, wouldn't he? Steal it and then bring it back. Take your
I'm
scrapple
Ron
back.
Trongard, and I'm Ron Trongard, and I stole apples and scrapples.
It's like trying to compare apples to Scrapples. Oh shit!
Aaron, you're next.
Dude, we could do this for another 2 hours. Like after the list is done, we could
Just
just
get the Ron Trongard stealing.
We got 75 honorable mentions.
I swear to God, I could not. I tore my wrestling room apart today trying to find my book of jobbers, and I had no idea. I mean, I don't know. It used to be one of them things where there's certain things in my collection that if you ask me to go find it, I could find it immediately. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly where it's at because I keep certain things, and where I know where I put certain things at where I ain't got to dig too deep for them. And I had this folder when I was a fucking kid that I used to write down all the jobbers' names, and it must have been 7. It was 4 columns on each page, front and back, and it must have been 7 pages. And that's all I would do is just scour magazines and look for like preliminary wrestler guys' names, and that was my childhood.
Israel Mata.
Oh yeah. Well, it was Israel Matea, and
Oh yes, Matea. I always get that one wrong too. Every time I mention him, I say Mata for some reason. And you're right, it's Matea.
Oh, I could list jobbers all day long. And I could give you 7 of Mike Boyette's names. Jesus.
Aaron, your next induction?
My next induction, it's not comedic.
Is this your last induction?
This is the
Yes.
serious one.
Okay.
This is I try to every year induct somebody that's just like a complete fucking scumbag. Like I think I put Buck Zumhoff in,
Yep.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think I put did I put Grizzly Smith in there?
Yep.
And just a couple other people. So this is the scumbag wing of the Hall of Shame. It is Hard Body Harrison.
Oh. Oof. Isn't he in AEW?
No.
Give me a minute. Give me a minute. This is where Chad and I are kind of like on the same wavelength, but give me a minute. All right. This is the induction for Hard Body Harrison. This fucking scumbag started his career in 1995 after being trained in the power plant. While he accomplished nothing in his entire worthless career as a wrestler, his criminal activity and downright scumbaggery is where this fuckwad shined. Let me turn my page.
Good Lord.
After his career, this is where he shined. In 2004, he had 3 counts of false imprisonment put upon him. And then in 2005, he had 9 counts of false imprisonment and then 9 counts of sex trafficking.
Yeah, but isn't false imprisonment? Isn't that like you're innocent?
Well, no,
right?
like he was falsely imprisoning people.
Yeah, so he wasn't. It was false. Shouldn't it be called truthfully imprisonment?
I'm just saying what the law says.
Throw the book at him.
Well,
like literally.
They couldn't read it.
Throw any book at him.
A picture book.
He would have to be able to read it. He'd just throw a book at him and be like, if you can read this, sir, you can go home.
but after he was caught imprisoning these women, this is what he stated. He stated the women lived in his house and barn on their own free will and were trained to become professional wrestlers. This training, which he called, and I made this up, this training, which he called the way of the hard body, involved these women's doing household chores, rigid training, and exercises, as well as following his commandments. They also had to have sex on demand with hard body and compete in sex orgies with up to 8 men at a time. If any of these women broke his commandments or failed to complete their chores, they had to pay him back the money that he gave them.
So, if I didn't know that she was alive at the time, I would think that Hard Body was Moolah reincarnated.
Yeah. Harrison was sentenced to life in prison on April 1st, 2008, and it is rumored that if he is ever released, Tony Khan is going to offer him a contract with AEW.
Yeah, Tony's like, would you like to add to my shit show?
And inducting Hard Body Harrison into the Hall of Shame is R. Kelly. Nobody has anything on Hard Body.
That's a cellmate, isn't it?
I don't see nothing wrong
with Hard Body Harrison's actions.
They're going half on a baby.
Hard Body Hammerson.
Hard Body Hammerstone.
But nah, man, like I said, I didn't want to end mine that way, but I did. He's a fucking scumbag, and if anybody wants to do more research into fucking Hard Body Harrison, you can see how fucking shitty this fucking human being was. Like,
good Lord.
Like I just kind of gave like the cliff notes on this guy's fucking life, but as a whole, he is just a fucking cretin, man. He's fucking terrible. Just a horrible fucking person, and that's why I'm putting him in the Grizzly Smith wing of the fucking Hall of Shame.
So we really only have one more left. This is it.
Drum roll, please.
I think, Chad, you have 2 left. You said you had 5, right?
Yeah.
Like his statue isn't bronze; it's like aluminum. There's like an aluminum fucking
Foil.
statue. There's a foil statue of Hardbody Harrison.
All crinkled up like when you get your leftovers in the Swan.
Yeah, and he's the guy that said that he wanted to be Stang.
Well, he was partly
You
right.
thought
He
that
stank.
was a good idea, though, Aaron.
He stank.
Black Sting.
That's who Ole Anderson was talking. Was that Ole Anderson or that was Rick Steiner that used to say stank? Remember with the Black Scorpion? Stank. He was really talking about Hardbody Harrison. Imagine if that would have been the Black Scorpion.
That'd have been controversial.
No, I would have popped.
That was my last inductee. Was fucking
Now I can't get it out of my head.
shit Hardbody Harrison.
I can't get it out of my head. Bow.
Nate.
Do you remember?
Oh, there he is. Nate's back.
Do you remember? All right, Chad, you're next.
All right, well, as soon as an airplane flies over,
We're inducting the airplane into the Hall of Shame.
Is this the plane ride for male induction?
it's them taking Hardbody Harrison to the penitentiary.
He's on Con Air.
I'm next.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Well, I'm gonna flip flop my number 2 and number 1, because I mean, there's a you'll know the reason why I'm flip flopping them. But you remember a guy named Mike Miller
Yeah.
in Portland?
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty bad. I had him in my number.
He was pretty funny.
Pretty
Yes, he
bad.
was. Yes, sir. Yeah, that one it's obscure, but I do know that one, Mike Miller.
But he kind of got a push in Portland. But that was if I could steal one of Aaron's phrases, like putting a hat on a hat. He was a star in Portland. Okay. So was Art Barr. And
Chick
Billy
Donovan.
Jack. And Buddy Rose. Jesus. And Matt Bourne.
Well, we got all your honorable mentions out the way.
Yeah, Mike Miller was bad. Buddy Rose was only ever, I don't know. I don't want to say he was only ever good in Portland because him and Doug Summers were a good tag team. But if I'm going to watch Buddy Rose, it's going to be his stuff in Portland. You know, that's where he shined.
Well, I'll give Buddy Rose this. He didn't get the 3-match run with Backlund at the Garden, but he got 2. So at least they had some sort of an idea for him. You know, he got like the first match was a DQ, and then they had the lumberjack match blow off.
Right.
They didn't even do the 3 matches. You know, it was just boom, you're done.
Yeah, Vince Senior was like, moving on.
Am I wrong that Mike Miller, I think he wound up in USWA in '93, didn't he?
Oh, when all the guys in Portland did.
Yeah, because he teamed with like Brian Christopher and all that shit. Like that's how I remember him, but I'm obviously younger than you.
Yeah, they brought him in when they brought in the guys like Bart Sawyer.
Yeah,
like they would all ride together. They all came as one. They all drove in one car. Fucking the worst car drives ever because you're telling old Portland stories.
Yeah, like a leather. If I remember that guy, he was the guy that was Christopher, and he had like a fucking leather hat.
Yeah, he stole Austin Idol's hat.
Yeah,
he had that shitty mustache.
yeah.
He stole Paul Jones' mustache.
It wasn't even a Paul Jones. It wasn't even a Paul Jones mustache. Nate, we've talked.
I'm just entertaining myself. I'm sorry.
We've talked about this. Paul Jones had a fantastic mustache. Mike
That
Miller.
was the only thing that Paul Jones had that was fantastic.
All right.
I was saying Mike Miller had a pedophile mustache. That's what I was going to say.
Archie,
Yes.
you know John Hoffert?
Yeah.
He looks like a heavier set John Hoffert.
From Blues Traveler?
No,
Oh,
no.
Not John Popper.
Not John Hopper. John Hopper.
How could there ever be a heavier set John Popper?
Right.
What did I miss?
Fuck,
Everything.
Aaron picked a bad time to fucking
I watched John
bounce out for
Popper.
a second.
John Popper might be the biggest miracle in the history of the world because he can play that fucking harmonica looking like he does. Oh shit! I'm surprised he hasn't lost his foot.
He was always sweating like Archie Mitchell on a date with one of the Roselli sisters.
Playing fine.
Wow, that was a joke that went over my head.
You don't know who
Okay.
the sisters are?
No.
The Bobby Heenan Show.
Bobby Heenan's fat.
Oh God, the Raw Girls. Okay.
One of your rats.
They're not rats. They're rodents.
You got to have rat bait for every type of fan. Chad.
Yeah, the Rosati sisters weren't rats. They were rodents.
Possums.
He walks to the ring like if he was in Japan.
Got 6 nipples. I know it.
If he was in Japan, they wouldn't throw streamers. They would spray Raid at him. You're
Or
worse.
Cheese Whiz.
He had the silly string of Cheese Whiz.
Get crazy with the Cheese Whiz. Thank you, Beck. All right, Mark Brew.
Well, I'm gonna end mine kind of on a similar note to Aaron, but my next induction is, drum roll please, James Ellsworth.
That's Chad's
Oh,
friend.
come on!
It's Chad's friend.
Like now you're hitting that. Now you're hitting close to home over here.
I'm sorry, his whole stick was, 2 mans with hands got a fighting chance. But if you send my 16-year-old daughter nude pictures, you have no chance. That's when the Vince McMahon music cues and there's like a shotgun involved and things of that nature.
No chance.
But I
What you
mean,
got?
just in my opinion, though, as far as his in-ring work, he should have never been anywhere near the fucking ring. Like he shouldn't even been on the ring crew.
Shouldn't have been near Carmella.
He's just shitty all around.
But I can't believe this was a shoot too. I can't believe that he made enough money, like working for the WWE, that he bought a nice house, got a pretty decent looking wife, and he runs his own. He runs one of the other successful companies in Maryland. Like he's somewhat of a big deal here around here, and I'm just like, it's fucking Jimmy Dream. He used to be in this tag team called Pretty Ugly, and
He got that part down, Pat. That was a shoot.
But he was he was the pretty part. He was pretty Jimmy Dream, and the other guy was this other fat fucking slob named
Silky Boom Boom.
I can't even remember what his name was, but they were called Pretty Ugly. Was it Adam something or other? But
he was the pretty part, and that is where they get the saying "beauty is in the eye of the beholder."
Yeah, it said the blind man.
Yeah.
All right, Mitchell. Every time I say that,
I love how I said James Ellsworth, and Chad's the only other person that had anything to say.
I have nothing to say. You hit it on the head.
Every time on the show, I go, okay, Mitchell. I always think of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yep,
Mitchell.
me too. Me too.
I popped Aaron when I said that though, because he's like, "That's Chad's friend."
Yep.
Yeah,
I love the seal clap. That's Chad's friend.
I think he was at my wedding.
Oh,
He was the ring bearer, wasn't he?
Well, he put up the ring
No, he was
bearer.
the flower girl. He was the flower girl.
That's who we did the ring rental from. Because I didn't buy Jessica's ring. I rented it from James Ellsworth.
Rocco Rock's dead, so you got to rent the ring from Ellsworth.
2 hours after the shit was over, he took it back.
That's who Rocco left the box truck to.
Ellsworth, I gotta get that ring back, man. I can't afford to take this on the chin.
Oh, Ellsworth!
Oh my God, Aaron. All right. My last inductee. I'm going to require like about a minute and a half rant. I apologize in advance, but it has to be done.
It's got to be bad.
Then. My final inductee has to be the worst booker in all of wrestling, and is allowing his wrestlers to run his company for him. My last inductee is none other than Tony Khan. This dumb fuck with his curly hair and stupid looks at the camera sits there and allows his champion to shit all over his company, and then allows them to get into a backlot brawl. You understand? Because the rest of his company that he named EVPs, other wrestlers EVPs, decided to go have a brawl with their world heavyweight champion. And his only way to fix it was to suspend them and strip the titles and start another tournament for it.
And chug a fucking bottle of Perrier. Okay, you brought it
Right.
up. And so you brought it up. Tony Khan is the most wealthy money mark in the history of wrestling.
Right.
And that fucking, what do they call it? Scrum. I hate that fucking word.
Yeah,
that
what the fuck? You're not the UFC, man.
That scrum
wrestling
proved the whole thing. He sat there like a bitch, let CM Punk shit on. CM Punk's the most toxic motherfucker.
Without a doubt.
He's a great wrestler. I will never deny that he's a great wrestler, because he is. He's a great wrestler.
He's a great person.
He is a toxic fucking human being. And everywhere he goes, something negative happens, yet it's always somebody else's fault.
Right.
Because he's a whiny ass bitch. And Tony looks like a fucking idiot.
Like a pure idiot. Like a puppet
looks
who's
like
sitting there
idiot.
waiting for Punk to wait for him to talk.
And I hate Kenny Omega. He's a goof. But this is one of the few times, and I said it, and it was a miracle, where I side with him.
Right, hell froze over.
And those other two dopes, because what kind of a professional? And Chad, you've been a performer, you've been a promoter, but what kind of a professional would sit there and let some guy shit on his company? And he did it on purpose, because that reporter never asked him about Colt Cabana.
Well, no, there are reports that before they went on the air for the scrum, the reporter asked him, "Are you planning on talking about Colt Cabana?" And that's
okay.
Off. But, see,
but in that
here's
situation,
where I have a problem.
In that situation, that promoter didn't ask CM Punk about Colt Cabana.
Right.
CM Punk did that to stir shit, because he's fucking toxic.
This is where my problem comes in with this. You decided to go on a podcast and shit talk a doctor that works for the WWE. You got sued, you and your best friend.
You brought it on yourself.
Your best friend, I'm going to cover the legal fees since you're broke and not working right now. But then when he didn't thank you and bend over for you and say, "Please, Punk, fuck me now because you spent all your money to get me out of prison where you were going to put me," you decided you were pissed off and decided to actually throw all the money that you paid out. So then he in turn sued you.
And if he wouldn't have went on the podcast and slandered the doctor, he never would have got sued.
Right.
But it's always somebody else's fault.
Right.
If he just learned to keep his fucking mouth shut.
Right.
But then it wouldn't be. Then he wouldn't be Punk.
Okay.
But I understand what you're saying, Chad. I totally get what you're saying,
right,
Chad.
I agree.
But he is a toxic person. He brings 90% of it.
Company.
Everywhere he goes, there's a stench that follows him, but he's the one that causes it, obviously, because it goes everywhere he goes. And
He
I know we were
fired the whole company.
I know we were
You know.
talking about Tony, but you're
And
right about
Well,
Tony
it's Tony's
too.
fault. It's
Can I-
Tony's fault, though.
Nate and
I
I
saw
were
I saw that media scrum, man, and I gotta say, if I was Tony Khan, you know, he had a microphone too.
Yeah,
He
Nate,
sat-
Nate and I talked about this, and I had to work like all fucking weekend because it was Labor Day weekend and I'm a fucking Walmart manager, so I had to fucking work. So I didn't get to watch it. And I watched it the other day, like right before Nate and I recorded my show. And I watched it, and my thing was what Punk was saying wasn't wrong. Okay?
Some of it.
Some of it. Like, I don't know him and Colt Cabana's legal shit. I'll say that watching that promotion, what I'll say, he wasn't wrong in what he was saying in that situation. My thing with what Punk did was that was the wrong time
Platform.
to do that.
Right.
Like, if you're doing that thing with those journalists around you, you put over your company, you put over your boss, and then you fucking walk away.
Yeah, because
Right.
they just put you over for the fucking title.
And when somebody asks you a negative question, you say no comment.
And you just say, I'm here to talk about the show that we just did and the guy that I just put over me.
Right.
And we talk
And
about
I want to reiterate, nobody asked that motherfucker that question.
Right.
That's the most important thing in the whole conversation. Nobody, he said, hey, you know Colt Cabana, right? He wanted to do what he did.
And what I'm going to say is, what I'll talk about this is because Archie didn't put Punk in. He put Tony Khan in. So what I'll say about Tony Khan is this. Tony Khan sat there while a guy shit all over him and his entire
all over his company. Yep.
While drinking seltzer water and eating
eating a cake. And then even had the nerve to promote the cake store. This is Mindy's, by the way. Greatest place in Chicago. Like, really, fucker?
He ate fucking brownies and shit all over that guy.
Yep.
He was eating while he got a steaming Charlie.
And
how about this? Real quick before I forget, on a side note, my buddy went to All Out. He took his son there, and he actually went to Mindy's. Because I texted him about it. I said, Did you go to that Mindy's bakery? He goes, hell yeah, we did. And he said it was pretty goddamn good.
I have no doubt. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, and I told Nate this, everything you want to say bad about Vince McMahon, okay? If that would, or even Eric Bischoff, okay? Even put Eric Bischoff in there.
Right.
If a Vince McMahon or an Eric Bischoff, or even now, Hunter, would have been sitting by.
Definitely Hunter.
Sitting by a guy that we're putting our money into, we're paying you a lot of fucking money, and we're strapping a fucking rocket to you, sat there in front of that fucking media crowd and was shitting on my company, would have knocked that fucking microphone down and been like, this is fucking over.
And I'm gonna say this, Aaron, don't cut me off.
But Tony Khan sat there and fucking took it and did nothing about it because he's over his fucking depth.
And Aaron, don't cut me off when I say this, because I want to make a quick point. You brought up Hunter. We're talking about Tony. And this is where Tony, like I said, is he's essentially just the wealthiest money mark in the history of wrestling. The reason that would never happen to Hunter is because the person sitting next to Hunter would respect Hunter.
Wouldn't have the balls to do it.
Well, and they'd respect him. That CM Punk obviously doesn't respect Tony Khan. He's just taking his money. That's obvious from what happened. And if I'm wrong, Chad, you can tell me I'm wrong, but obviously, if I go out there and sit next to my boss and then shit all over my boss and his company and everything, obviously I don't respect my boss. I think my boss is a fucking idiot.
And
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
And I posted a couple things saying that I would fire CM Punk. Like
That motherfucker would have been fired before he got off that microphone.
Yeah, but there's reasons why you can't fire him.
I know, I understand.
I'm sure there's contractual reasons.
I mean, no, I
understand that, but
I can't say that you can't fire him. But I mean, he's got to have a little bit of more leeway.
Yeah, but my thing is like I'm a boss. I'm a manager. If somebody would have done that to me, if I can't fire the guy because he's got a fucking contract, I would have been like, well, you're gonna fucking sit at home and I'm not gonna do anything with you. And and people are like, oh, why would you fire Punk? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? I'd be like, if you're so fucking unhappy and you don't want to be here, then you're not gonna fucking be here. Go home. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to be in this environment, that's fine. I'm gonna help you by removing you from that fucking environment.
Vince did it. Vince did it with Brett. He said, I will help you get a contract with WCW. So yeah, I mean that's he literally did that.
I would have had him do a job to James Ellsworth.
And I'm sure you guys didn't see it yet because I posted it like right before we got onto the show. But I said the exact punishments that I would give to everybody involved in this. I'd fire CM Punk. Okay. I'd take Kenny Omega's executive vice president title away from him. And then guess what I'd tell him? I'd be like, guess what, Kenny? I'm going to remove you from the video game.
Oh, that would break his heart.
That would break his fucking heart.
He's the undownloadable content.
Yeah. I'm taking you out of the video game, Kenny Omega, and I'm taking your EVP status. And then Young Bucks, I'm taking your EVP status away from you, and you're gonna fucking put over FTR in 27 seconds on Dynamite.
Wow.
Which they should have done anyway.
Yeah, and make them all do that.
Jesus Christ! Have just bring in James Ellsworth for them all.
Well, apparently Tony Khan used some of his money to cut Archie's cable because he has a blackout right now.
He shut his whole fucking city down.
Yes, but I'll do my final induction, and then Chad, I know you have a fifth, and we'll end with yours. But speaking of promoters, my final. What?
Chad drank a fifth?
No, I said he has a fifth.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
He's just getting started.
A touche. But my last induction this year is old Vince. And I say that because I'm a child of the 80s. I was born in 78. I'm a child of the 80s. I literally discovered territorial wrestling in my teens, early 20s. So for me, what I watched was the WWF in the 80s and 90s, and I loved it. So for me, what Vince McMahon promoted in that time period is what I love, or some of what I love. Anyway, it's you know what I mean? It's dear to my heart. But the past 15 years, old Vince, and that's what we call him here. There are two different Vince McMahons. There is young Vince and there is old Vince. And I want to induct old Vince for doing things like creating the quote unquote WWE universe and sanitizing the programming and taking wrestling out of the equation and just all the things that Vince did in his later years that thank God he's out now. But I want to induct old Vince into the Hall of Shame.
With that stupid that coat that he wore when he was standing next to the Frono San Martino,
or shows up with a fucking Fabergé egg.
I'm talking more like the $1 million winner Vince McMahon, or the Vince McMahon that now talks like this. Just all the things that have happened in the past 10 to 15 years under his insanity, just his insanity. Because we were literally watching. It was funny when Hunter, and I know Hunter was doing it to be respectful, and I know Vince probably didn't even say it. When they did the media call or whatever with Hunter a couple of weeks ago or last week, and he said, well, when we transitioned power, Vince told me, book it like a fan. Book it like you're a fan. And I'm thinking in my head, Vince didn't say that, because Vince hasn't booked it like he was a fan in 15 fucking years.
He was never a fan.
Fuck he wanted to do.
Vince was a fan of money.
Yeah. But he did a good job at it. And I know you might disagree with me, Chad, but he did a good job at it for me as a fan until probably, I don't know, at least maybe like 2010. Like I was into it. I was cool with it. But man, after that, it just goes so downhill. And it's just this one man, we're booking for one man, and there's this team of writers, and everything is catchphrases and corporate and sanitary, and it's not wrestling. And so that's why I induct old Vince into the We Can't Wrestle Hall of Shame.
Is he inducted by Listerine so we can get that fucking taste out of our mouth?
He is inducted by either Bruce Pritchard or Bill Dunn.
Kevin Dunn.
Kevin Dunn, not Bill Dunn. Buddy Rondell. I'm sorry.
See, I tell you one thing I should have done at my wedding that I regret, but because it was my wedding kind of thing. So when I came out, they played Ric Flair's music. That was my my walking out for the bridal party kind of. You know what I mean? How they do that deal, and it really should have been No Chance. Could you imagine? Because half the people that were there were Jessica's, more than half were her friends, so who don't even watch wrestling. Could you just imagine them listening to me coming out? You got no chance in hell.
She says I don't, and you're like, it's a work.
Because at one point I did whisper.
Then you have a media scrum, and she shits all over your marriage.
Yeah, she blames it on Tony Khan.
And then somebody's just like, blames it on Colt.
She blames it on Colt Cabana and Kenny Omega.
And then she bitched about how it was catered by Mindy's.
All I got were these muffins and brownies.
Yeah,
and some sparkling water.
Oh, that's sad. That media scrum was sad.
What were you going to say though, Aaron?
Like Nate called him old Vince, and that's fine.
Because there's two Vinces to me.
I know, and I'm not saying don't call him old Vince. What I call it is post Cena Vince. You know what I mean? Like Cena was the last thing, and I know people hate on John Cena or whatever.
That sounds like a real condition.
I don't. I know people hate on John Cena, and this might sound whatever, but Cena was the last thing that Vince got that worked. You know what I mean?
I think, and I'm going to give a little credit to the devil. I think that Vince saw what Roman could be, and he wasn't wrong about him. But yes, I will agree with you that Cena's his last great
creation, I guess.
Yeah, like this is the dude.
Because I'm not going to say he was wrong about Roman. Roman's great.
I almost don't even give Vince credit at all for any of the Cena stuff. If anybody, I give it more to Stephanie. Because wasn't it Stephanie who's the one that said that he rapped to her, and then she's the one that suggested?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but and I understand that, but he would what I'm trying to say with the Cena thing was that she was like, "Hey, Dad, this guy's fucking good," and he was able to accept that and go with it. But all these other people, he didn't see the forest for the trees, he tried like they were like, "Oh, Roman's great. Roman is great." But he tried to like be like Roman's a face, and all these other people were like, "This guy should be a fucking heel," and he was like, "No, he's a face." You get what I'm saying on that?
And I think in old Vince's mind,
He was stuck in the Hogan era.
well, no, he was stuck in the Rock era. Like, okay, he can be a good face, but or he can be a good heel, but let's make him a face first. Because that's kind of what happened with Rocky.
Yeah, but was Rock the beginning of the new formula? About
Definitely.
How that
definitely.
worked?
That's when they changed the Infamil.
Yeah, they just instead of bringing the guy in and giving him vignettes and trying to put him over and stuff like that, we'll make him so that people shit on him, and then they'll shit on him to the point where they like him. That's how a lot of guys get over.
Or shit on him to the point where his gimmick turns bitter, and now he's this shit talking but charismatic motherfucker.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know what the question. I don't know what the question exactly was, but there was a question on Cornette's podcast, I believe. No, it was McAdams' podcast. In '87, if Jerry Lawler goes to Jim Crockett, do you bring him in as a babyface or a heel? And they said you bring him in as a heel, and then it'll turn babyface, but you have to bring him in as a heel. Because then people will like him because they start to like him as a heel.
Yeah, you team him up with Dusty, and then he turns on Dusty. Isn't that the formula?
Yeah, especially for Crockett. Dusty's like, "Oh, Jerry Lawler's coming in, baby." So we've inducted old Vince into the Hall of Shame. And Chad, I know you have one more than we all did. So who is your fifth and final inductee?
Well, it's probably one of the biggest pieces of garbage in the pro wrestling business. And he goes all the way back to Vince in the early days, Vince senior days. Then he stunk himself out of that fucking position to where he started thinking up other countries and territories. And my last inductee goes to Victor Quinones.
Oof.
I figured it had to be a really crappy one. Just a shit. Punk could have been talking about him.
Gorilla Monsoon's illegitimate child.
Victor Quinones?
Yep.
That's not his illegitimate. They were the same age.
Victor Quinones was Gorilla Monsoon's kid.
There's no way that's true. And don't even tell me Wikipedia, because I had three different birthdays.
You're talking about the Puerto Rican promoter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Gorilla Monsoon's kid.
Boy, that Gorilla Monsoon, man, he's got some terrible, shitty genes.
That's not going to come out in the wash.
No.
Always understood that was Gorilla Monsoon's actual child.
Boy, I don't know about I got to do some homework on that, but it ain't gonna be tonight. I just looked in the refrigerator and somebody forgot to go to the liquor stove. and somehow I got to make 9 beers last till tomorrow at about 6:00 p.m.
Good luck, brother. Good luck.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to get through this job interview tomorrow. Because it's
I'll never get it sober.
It's a virtual job interview, and there's going to be all the beer cans are behind me.
I'm prepared.
And I mean, other than I mean, who is like, I don't know. I guess I can't think of a bigger piece of crap than than Victor as far as like even when he worked when he brought all the wing guys in from Japan for ECW, and I even got a picture with him in the hallway. And this is kind of like when I first started hearing them things about him and stuff. And he kind of like insisted on putting an arm around me, like in the picture. You know, I'm like, no, I can just stand here.
I thought
reaches
that was
over,
going somewhere else.
reaches over for the nipple. Yeah.
Who knows what he was doing? I once he tried to like put his he stopped short. He stopped short.
It says he helped Taka Michinoku come to the United States in
I bet he did.
1997.
I'm sure he helped.
Help not Taka Michinoku come in the United States.
Yeah.
It's vertical over here.
The name of this episode will be Taka Gets a Hand Job.
Well, I mean, why do you think he? I mean, seriously, why do you think he left America and went back to Puerto Rico? It had to have been legal reasons, because he had what? He had at least 10 years working for Vince, right?
Yeah.
And then he did the ECW stuff, and he had all his hands and all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden these stories started coming out, and he's like, you know what, it's time for me to go back to Puerto Rico where this shit's kind of legal. And that's what they call it in Puerto Rico. It's kind of legal.
And Rob Feinstein was like, "Can I be your carry-on bag?"
He wants to be his lawyer. Rob Feinstein.
He's like, "Just put me up in the overhead compartment."
I just love how you call him Rob Feinstein. He should be on this list. Why not put all RF video on this fucking list? And I used to be friends with them goofs. And I'm sorry, that's an insult to goofs. Because they were because at the time, I didn't know they were crappy human beings.
Where did Feinstein get all this money?
Tapes. He was the only guy in town, man. Like, in that time period, he was the only game in town that he had deals with everybody. He figured that, he's a Jew anyway.
Did he get his like start with Paulie?
With tapes?
Yeah.
No, because he used to sell even before ECW was anything. When
Chad helped him.
What did I do to him?
I think our Mark was saying you canoniced him. I don't know what that means.
Don't start accusing me of doing stuff with Rob Feinstein.
It's Feinstein.
He's got all this insider knowledge.
I bet he does. He's got inside him knowledge. I'll never forget that time where I caught fucking Doug, his right-hand man, giving a left-hand job to that little I think it was Michael knocking the fuck off. I don't know who it was.
when you said that little, I thought the WCW midget. I'm like, what the fuck we've come full circle.
Rob Feinstein's jerking off Cheatham.
Jesus.
I just
remember being at that convention.
Pow!
I was at a convention or something, and then somebody was like, I think I was talking to Rob, but this is before all that shit happened, and I was like talking to Rob because he had a table set up. I was going to say a booth, but that could have been a different story.
Walk behind the curtain.
And
the Rob Feinstein glory hole.
And I just remember me asking about Doug, because Doug was my buddy like that time period, because we used to like the same kind of wrestling, the same kind of bad wrestling and stuff, and he would make me these bad tapes. And we were at a convention, and I remember asking about him. like, hey, where's Doug? And somebody, it could have been dumb Lou D'Angelo, and he's like, he's up in his room, and I was like, well, take me up there. And when I walked into the hotel room, and I saw him in bed with some fucking little Puerto Rican dude, and they pulled
Pablo Marquez makes an appearance.
And Pablo Marquez probably wasn't even born then.
Max Mini.
Max Mini.
Maybe that's where he came from. Pablo Marquez was a love child of Doug and whatever Mexican guy he had in bed with him.
Fucking Juventud Guerrera.
Oh, Lose the Tooth Guerrera is terrible. Is he even still wrestling anymore, or is he allowed to?
He was on AEW not long ago.
He was on what?
Yeah, like in the last 6 months, I believe.
He was on AEW. Chad asked if he was still wrestling.
Well, I mean, if in the last Juventud, yeah. If
when was he AEW? I watch AEW probably more. I probably watch it.
Then how the fuck did you miss that? And I caught it.
Imagine Hoovy at a scrum. I'm the juice.
Yeah, and instead of them bringing out them little drinks that Punk was doing, they kept bringing out little boys. And they would all just sit on his lap for a little while, and then he would get up.
Bunch of
instead of the bakery, he's like, visit Rob Feinstein.
Rob Feinstein's Bagel Boys.
Is that kosher? I don't know.
Bring me Marco Stunt.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Bring me Jungle Boy.
I'm Cassidy.
What happened to Marco Stunk? Marco Stunk.
You hit that one on the head.
What happened to him? Did he get too old? It wasn't illegal to diddle him anymore.
God.
Apparently,
do we have no more people to beat up on?
Apparently, Juventud Guerrera anally raped Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy.
Okay, I was wrong. It was 2021, but he had a match with Chris Jericho on Dynamite.
Oh, that had to have been a favor of Jericho or something. I mean, because Jericho, like, having the Mexico thing, and
Well, hence this conversation, favors were done.
I mean, I'm not saying it was Chris Jericho's greatest idea. Because maybe Jericho didn't know about all that stuff. Maybe he just thought he had a good match with Hoovy, and then all of a sudden after the match was over, somebody goes, "You do have the internet, right?" and Jericho being a busy man and all, doing all his lame stuff.
Search this episode of To Catch a Predator, Juarez.
Could you imagine if Marco Stunt was the decoy? Oh, you want some cookies?
You brought your mask?
That fucking Chris Hansen guy walks in the kitchen.
What were you planning on doing? We were just going to wrestle.
It was Michael Nakazawa.
No, it's not Chris Hansen. It's Stan Hansen.
It was just
Stan Hansen.
No, even worse, it was Sweet Hansen.
Stan Hansen.
Chad said Sweet Hansen.
It's not Sweet Hansen. It's Stan Hansen.
Oh shit,
dude!
Stan Hansen.
I got a fat wife at home to support, and you're out here diddling minors.
Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen comes out. Okay, Stan Hansen pops out of a closet after Juventud Guerrera has tried to rape Marco Stunt, and Stan Hansen tells Juventud Guerrera, "Sit down. Let's read your email messages."
Welcome to Catch a Lariat.
Yeah. And then Uvi tries to run away, and Swede Hansen is dressed as a bush.
This is ridiculous.
Listen,
while they're listening to Hansen,
as they're listening to Hansen, as Uvi
they must have been in Marco's bedroom.
As Uvi is listening to Stan Hansen telling him, I've caught you trying to rape Marco Stunt. Uvi tries to leave and run away, and then Swede Hansen is dressed as a bush.
What?
Uvi gets to the end of the fucking driveway, and Swede just clotheslines him.
But Swede, he wasn't dressed as anything. He was just standing there, like next to a bush.
And all the while in the background, it's going,
And before the scene cuts, Ron Simmons goes, damn.
No, before the scene cuts, we just show Tony Khan chugging a bottle of sparkling water.
Well, he's not going to say nothing.
Well, that's where you got to introduce. You got to introduce a wrestler instead of a manager. He's a nambler, and his newest protege is Jungle Boy Love.
Fucking Stan Hansen to catch a predator.
Stan Hansen's running over nude pictures of Marco Stunt. It wasn't the AWA belt. He had to get rid of them nude pictures of Marco Stunt.
And Larry Zbyszko's in the corner going, the human game of chess. Jesus Christ.
The movie's going, yes.
And then Vern Gagne just kills somebody.
But that wasn't even the lead story. I could just see Stan Hansen and his pickup truck just backing up and running over nude pictures of Marco Stunt. and then remember how he gave the belt back? Like, and it was all beat up. He just took all the nude pictures and thumbtacked them to a strap.
It just gives them back to Buck Sumoff. He's like, here you go.
And then everybody was like yelling. You know when somebody comes in and they're making a debut and the guy goes, he doesn't work here. They just brought in Buck Zumoff.
What is he fucking in his fucking boom box?
They give him the Ernest the Cat Miller treatment, like everybody supposed to know who the fuck it is.
I bet you if you think about it, you probably know where he keeps all his fucking dirty pictures of all his boys at. In that second tape recorder thing in his boombox.
Fucking Stan Hansen to catch a predator.
Jesus.
Juarez.
And he's got the suit on, or like the shirt on like Chris Hansen, but the one sleeve is cut off and he has the armed lariat band on. And he's like, going somewhere? And he's like, go. And he's got tobacco spilling out of his mouth.
Where you think you're going, boy? Get back over here.
Because could you imagine the look on them predators' faces if they were going over there to meet a Feinstein, and then they walk in when
Stan Hansen.
When Feinstein says, "Hey, there's milk and cookies in the kitchen. Help yourself," and then he walks in there and there's Stan Hansen
with a fucking spittoon.
Yeah. And he was like, what are you doing? He's like, what are you doing? And the guy's like, nothing, sir.
I thought you said your parents weren't home.
I'm not related to this guy. I just don't like predators. That's what Stan Hansen needed to be doing, man. Is going out and
found him a new gig.
Just Larian fucking pedophiles
working for Child Protective Services.
There'd be a lot less of them, probably.
Yeah, I mean, imagine part of the punishment is, how back in the day when they talked about in wrestling, when guys would have a problem, they would just lock the two in a room. They lock him in a room with Stan Hansen. no furniture, nothing. And then all you just hear was like the walls just beating.
Just a lamp. Just you, a lamp, and Stan Hansen.
And then like 30 seconds later, there's a knock on the door and you open it up and Hansen's got the guy over his shoulder. He's all bloody mess and mangled. Or fucking no, he just leave him in there.
He's like, yeah, I raped him.
With the AWA belt.
I don't know what a text message is, but it got him in trouble.
Is that what he is that what he thinks? Is that Mexican food?
He comes out with his cowbell covered in blood.
He goes to Taco Bell and orders a text message.
Oh shit.
Dude, Stan Hansen on any of them shows, even on live PD. Like, you know how like when the guys when the guys are out there and they see the guy and the guy takes off running and they start chasing after the guy, and you see a couple of the guys in blue running and all of a sudden you see a guy in chaps swinging a cowbell.
I'll get him.
Boom. Knocking him down.
As soon as the cops tackle him, it's just the boots. Stan Hansen's just giving them the boots and dropping elbows on them on the concrete. Dude, that would change people's perspective of life.
Tonight you're Bruno.
Oh, everybody's Bruno.
Fucking goddamn. To
Jesus,
catch a predator with Stan Hansen.
Oh my god. Well, it'd be a lot more brutal than catch a predator with Sweet Hansen.
I think we have accomplished this show being comedy.
It is the Hall of Shame to begin with. And we've mentioned enough people that should be ashamed of themselves, much less ashamed of their body of work.
The Hall of Ashamed.
Well, there you go. There's the name of this episode.
All right. So, Mark, any parting words for our listeners this week?
How do I follow that?
You can't.
You can't.
But you can try.
Just continue to listen to all the shows that's on the WrestleNet radio network. And don't try to rate Marco Stunt.
I think Hoovy or somebody has that market cornered. So
we got to do a deep dive of where the hell is Marco Stunt. I want to know where he's at now.
You ever heard the Red Hot Chili Peppers song "Under the Bridge"? That's where Marco is right now.
That's where his
hand jobs.
He's undercover in some child sex ring.
Yeah. He's the guy they use on the Catch a Predator.
He's the plant.
Yeah, he's the Marco.
What did Jeffrey Epstein do to Marco Stunt?
Well,
Aaron,
oof.
any parting words for our listeners this week?
Just thanks for listening. And the end of this show was fucking ridiculous, but it was the funniest goddamn thing we've done in 2 fucking weeks. And
well, that long.
Yeah. And I really hope that we can make Stan Hansen's Catch a Predator
a national treasure. Let's make it a national treasure.
I actually know a bunch of guys around here that are they're like a comedic, like it's like a group of people of local comedies, and they do local sketches, like, you know, little sketches and stuff. They put them up on YouTube and shit like that. I gotta go to one of their meetings and all, because I've had them on some of my other shows, and I gotta explain to them about this. And I gotta show them Stan Hansen stuff, and I got, dude, you guys gotta recreate this somehow.
We're gonna see a HBO special down the road, and it's gonna have this shit on it. We do what? This is our shit.
Oh, dude, don't think that people don't steal from us anyway.
In my fucking mind, I am just imagining Stan Hansen fucking layering fucking pedophiles, and it's so fucking funny.
I mean, you know, like you know how they walk when they walk outside when Chris Hansen says you're free to go.
like leave.
And they walk out and they take a look around and they don't see a police car, and they legitimately for a second think that they're free to go.
It's just Stan Hansen.
and then behind them they just hear boom.
And the guy turns around to see what the noise was, and that's when Hansen just takes his head off.
He takes his head off, man. That'd be fucking great shit.
Stan Hansen, catch a predator. That's one for the books. I mean,
how did we get here?
I don't know.
That skit right there, just it deserves an award.
Well, Chad, thank you for joining us. And do you have any parting words?
Mark just got a fucking Mark just got a glimpse into what happens at the end of Reliving the Extreme.
We just did a whole after show of Reliving the Extreme. Any parting words for me is this is always like one of the highlights of my week, which doesn't say much about what I do every day. And I look forward to it all the time. Every time I know we're getting together, and then, you know, even Miss Jess, you know, she's not very proud of anything that I do, because lately I haven't been doing anything. So, and she's always like, "Oh, you seem pretty happy," you know. Like, she went to bed tonight, obviously, because it's late, and she's the only one that has to work tomorrow. And, you know, and then tomorrow she'll ask me how it was, and I'll tell her that I had fun, and then she puts it over. She ain't gonna listen. But she puts it over as at least it's something that I do that's really not going to hurt me, like physically, like the other shit that I do, like the beer and shit and the other recreational stuff, like try to move patio furniture by myself.
Well, I mean, at the same time, this shit's like therapeutic, because it's like essentially, you know, just getting together with the guys and shooting the shit. Yeah,
I mean, that's what it is, and the fucked up thing is I don't know any of you fucking bones, like, you know, on a personal level. And me and Archie actually, I mean, we were never not friends, but we started out with me just making ribs about him, like just getting his name on every show for some reason, and he became part of this as a regular, you know. And then, I mean, if I make fun of some of the other listeners that comment on our pages, then we're not going to have any listeners. We're going to have just people on the show. And I don't
tonight, 32 guests.
I don't know how many windows you're allowed on this fucking thing.
Have to alternate them out.
But if you want, I'll try to get Ellsworth.
Oh God.
What the Ellsworth? Yeah, it was a great show, man. I look forward to it all the time. And we just cracked the 2-hour mark. And isn't that about what we're going for this stuff?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
A little bit of fine tuning, we can cut it down to 2 hours easy.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. The Hall of Shame is in the books. And we will see you next week. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Archie. Thank you, Aaron.
What are we doing next week?
I don't have any fucking clue.
The Embassy of Embarrassment? The Palace of Pathetic?
Next week is the Stan Hansen edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And he's just going to be at a kitchen counter. But that being said, we'll see you next week, everybody. Have a great week. And thank you for joining us. Thank you, guys. And we'll see you all later on.